Hey guys, Josh here, and in this video, I'll be sharing with you some useful tips and tricks to get started in Moonstone Island, a new creature collecting life sim game that you can pick up now on Steam and soon available for Nintendo Switch. This game is filled with things to do. There are over 90 different creatures to collect, 100 islands to visit. It can seem a bit overwhelming at first, but by the end of this video, you should know what you're getting into, and it will make your experience a bit easier. This video is sponsored by Raw Fury, the publisher of the game, and there is a link in the description if you'd like to wishlist or purchase Moonstone Island. Let's start, and my first tip, maybe this one is just a me problem because the game does tell you about it, but there are so many things to think about and learn when starting Moonstone Island that I just completely forgot about one of the most important things. When you win battles, as in most games, your spirits will gain experience and level up, but you won't see the effects of these level ups until you use your medallion, which will transport you to this other dimension, and there you will see a plus sign above your spirits that are ready to level up, and you'll get to increase one of their stats as well as add one new card to their deck. When I started playing, I leveled up my first 3 spirits 5 or 6 times, completely forgot about the medallion, and I was feeling like my spirits were still very weak and combat was becoming difficult. Well, after I remembered about the medallion and I leveled up all of my spirits properly, it made a huge difference. Another little thing I tend to forget, there is a research center where you can go to turn in your research, and you will get money for every spirit you saw, tamed, or banished. And sometimes it does end up paying pretty well. The research center is at the bottom left corner of the town. It's kind of easy to miss, but you should try to go there once in a while. Another way to make money is, of course, by selling items. Pretty early on, you'll have a sell crate, which, as the name implies, can be used to sell items. You can place it anywhere, and you'll get the money at the end of the day. However, as tempting as it is, do not put everything in there. Some things, such as ores and gemstones, can be sold to the blacksmith, the seeds can be sold at the greenhouse, and fish can be sold to the fisherman. Selling things to the proper merchant will give you 150% of their value, and on top of that, you'll be getting your money instantly. As for what you should sell or keep, for me, after making most of the crafting stations and upgrading my tools to iron, I found that the copper and iron ingots were starting to accumulate in my inventory, and they are worth a pretty good amount of money. For example, one iron ingot will sell for 600 coins, so they're definitely worth selling. Just make sure that you do transform them into ingots as the raw ores are not as valuable. Gemstones are for the most part also worth selling. After all, their item description says that they exist purely to be sold for coins, but that is not exactly true. They are used in a few crafting recipes, mostly for the mailbox and some decorative items. That being said, they're not too difficult to find, so unless you're saving for something specific, in most cases, you should be selling them. What I wouldn't sell, however, at least at the beginning of the game, are the moonstone and moonstone ingots. Moonstones are pretty rare and they're used in so many crafting recipes. Almost every important thing you will craft will be requiring some, and later in this video, I'll give you some tips on how to find them, but make sure you don't sell them at the beginning. As for fish, I said you can sell them to the fisherman, and here's quick fishing tips. The fishing rod costs 200 coins, and you will not have a lot of money at first, but I strongly recommend you buy it as soon as you can, as you'll be able to repay it after selling just a few fish. It's a very good investment. When you cast your line, just hold the left click, charge, and try to throw it as far as possible. If you do, you will see some text that says perfect, and that will increase your chance of getting rarer fish. Also, make sure you fish whenever you see a different type of island, like a poison, thunder, or fire island, as these will have different species of fish. If you go to the greenhouse, you'll be able to sell seeds, and new seeds you sell will then be made available for purchase at the general store. I don't know if the game told me and I somehow missed it, but it took me forever to figure out how to actually get seeds from new types of plants. Well, I eventually found out, and it is by using the sickle. Every time you use the sickle on a plant or crop, it will destroy it. So you will not get the crop itself, but you will get 2 seeds from it. So not only is it useful if you want to make your own seeds instead of buying them, but if you ever find new plants on the 100 islands that there are to explore, I would recommend using your sickle to get seeds from the first specimen that you find, so that after that you can very easily buy them from the store if you need and just grow them yourself. One thing I noticed with Moonstone Island is that yes, there is a pretty good selection of characters you can befriend, romance, and go on dates with, but relationships take such a long time to increase compared to most other games. If you have someone you're interested in, Make sure you start very early and talk to them every day, even if you're the type of person who usually waits a long time before dating in farming sims. Also, until you get closer to them or increase your social skills, I would suggest sticking to the chat option and not the joke or flirt ones, as overall, you will tend to lose more points using these at the beginning. Once you're done talking with everyone and you're exploring the procedurally generated world of Moonstone Island, you'll find doors leading you to dungeons, which you should definitely do as they will reward you with great quantities of items, crafting recipes, and increased maximum stamina. But you'll also find these pillars and arches pretty regularly. At first, I thought they were simply decorative and I just ignored them. However, if you interact with them, you can do so by holding the right click on the mouse, then very good things will happen. Arches will give you talismans that will let you either remove, upgrade, or add a card to one of your spirits' deck, and you can feed these talismans to your spirits by using the medallion. I usually tend to go for Meditate, which is the card upgrade, as I prefer to have a deck with fewer, more powerful cards, but in the end, this is up to your personal preference. In any case, just make sure you activate those arches whenever you see them. Also, these arches do reset after some time, so don't worry about making a bad choice as there's no limit to how many times you can use them. So it's a good idea to go back and explore islands you already fully explored before just to activate those arches again and get even more talismans. The pillars, on the other hand, well, they're simply connected to another pillar on a different island and will be acting as a fast travel between these two islands, which can make it a little bit easier to explore the world. As you fly between islands, you will soon find the Spring Temple, in which at one point you will be asked to donate 1 clay. I looked for so long everywhere around Moonstone Island, I tried to interact with everything, I also checked every corner of the other islands. I wondered if there was a way to maybe get a shovel, I just had no clue where to find clay. In this game, you actually get clay as a drop from the earth-type spirits that live in your barn, which I was not expecting at all. You will get the crafting recipes for the barn pretty early, just make sure you complete the first few quests, keep an eye on your mail, and Zed will teach you how to make one. Build a barn along with some stalls, place some crops in the stalls, and each day your spirits will have a chance of rewarding you with some items, which will vary depending on their type. Ideally, you will want to have at least one spirit of each type so you get all of the items, but an earth type spirit will be what you need in order to get clay and complete the first temple. While we're on the topic of spirits, when you have some spirits in your medallion and they're following you around, you'll sometimes notice these little icons on the bottom left of the screen. It's hard to figure out sometimes what they mean just by looking at them, but they're actually perks that you get from having those spirits in your party. To see what they do exactly, use your medallion, interact with a spirit, and select View Cards and Stats. There you will have a clear description. Some spirits will help you make your stamina decrease slower, reduce the effect of wind resistance when you fly, but there's many more to find. Every spirit has a perk, so if they don't help you as you explore, they will have a perk in combat, such as healing themselves when they get under a certain amount of HP, or something like that. Every spirit is different. And since every spirit is different, you could be having a very hard time at the beginning of the game when trying to decide which of the 3 starter spirits to go with, but you can rest assured that you will eventually be able to find all of them in the wild, so don't stress too much about which one you pick at first. Now, as I said earlier in this video, moonstones are one of the most precious things you can find in this game. So let's go over the different ways of finding them. In the foraging skill tree, you'll find skills called Moonstone Minded and Moonstone Mencer, which will give you a 5% and 10% chance to find a moonstone when opening a chest, and I would suggest attributing your points toward that as soon as you can. There is no way to track your experience, but you will increase your foraging level by cutting trees, smashing rocks, and catching fish. Once you've done enough to gain a level, you will be prompted to select a skill after going to bed, and 10% might not seem like a lot, but it's a lot better than 0%, and it is worth it, as every moonstone counts. So that is one way to get moonstones. You can also get moonstones as random loot after winning a battle, but obviously you don't have much control over that except just trying to engage in more battles. The main way you will be finding moonstones is by exploring islands at night. Every day, moonstones have a chance to appear on each island. You can find them at any time of the day, but at night is when they will start glowing, making them a lot easier to find. That being said, they can still be pretty tricky to see as they can hide behind things like grass, trees, and rocks. But one way to make things a bit easier is to hold Control on the keyboard and then scroll up with your mouse. This will let you zoom out so much you'll see the whole island without having to actually walk around. That way you'll be able to spot moonstones without having to actually walk everywhere. And if you can't see anything, well, simply fly to the next island, zoom out and keep doing this, and you should be able to find a few moonstones every night. I also use that zooming out trick very often, even if I'm not searching for moonstones, as you will find out that there are islands that can be quite tricky to navigate. So definitely try to take advantage of that. Now, as you search for moonstones, or pretty much anytime you're exploring islands, you're probably going to be bothered by spirits who are trying to engage in battle with you when you're just trying to forage or explore. There is a skill that will make the weaker spirits run away from you, so that is useful, but most of the time the spirits you're trying to avoid are the stronger ones. Well, if you have any flower or crop in your hotbar, simply select it and press R on the keyboard. This will drop it on the ground, distracting other spirits for a moment while you do whatever you have to do. This one is such a lifesaver, and I now always make sure to carry a ton of crops on me at all times. So these are some of my beginner tips and tricks for Moonstone Island. There is so much to do and discover in this game, but I hope that knowing these few tips will give you a bit of a head start as you familiarize yourself with this world. Let me know what you think of Moonstone Island, and by the way, did you know that it was developed by a team of only 3 developers? I think that's pretty impressive, and also thanks to Raw Fury for sponsoring this video. If you don't have the game yet, feel free to check out the link in the description. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.